Okay, so today I'm supposed to cover footwork, grip, and swing. I may not get to all of it. I'll just start with footwork today. I already covered it on Friday, but let's do it over again because that was eh. Alright, so just so to make it easier for you guys at home, this will be the easiest way to do it from me on a computer as well, which is just to search up very simply badminton footwork on YouTube. Okay, we're gonna look at our list here. I'm gonna make a short list. I'm gonna write down a short list of what we're gonna cover. They're technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't want to say 9 corners. There's technically 8, but realistically 6. 8 corner plus 6 corner footwork. Split step, which is very, very important for all beginner movements. So the first thing you want to master is the split step. Now there's the basic split step, and then there's the intermediate or the advanced version. And then there's the advanced crossback. Chasse is basic. Running is running. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the first video. What he's doing here, we're gonna have to cover split step first because that's like step number 1 for footwork. The types of split step he's doing here is anticipative. It's the advanced version of the split step where your feet orientation is relative to where your shots are. So, meaning if at a high enough level where you have a lot of playing experience, when let's say you hit to the right side, you think they're going to do a forehand shot or forehand clear, and you do your split step. Some will split step with their right foot back, and right now, and pretty much always, I will be talking in the perspective of a right-handed player. And if you're a left-handed player, all you need to do is reverse everything, meaning like left is right and right is left. So, or from here on out, it's all going to be right-handed. So in that kind of situation, your split step would be right foot back, left foot forward, and your hips will turn slightly to the right. And then that's your split step. For a beginner standpoint, I wouldn't want you to think too much about orientation and first just get used to doing a split step. So just simply split your feet. When you do a split step, the correct way is to split your feet, and also at the same time you're dropping your center of gravity. There's a really good example I'm going to show you this one. Okay, so I'm going to use him as an example for a split step. Okay, from a standing position, this is your split step right here. That was a split step. It's really fast, right? Okay, my cursor will be at the bottom of his collar right here. Okay, watch where his body ends up after his split step. So going, boom. Where is it now? See that large drop down here? That is what you're looking for in a split step. And as the name implies, your feet splits apart more than where it was, right? So if his right foot, or if his left foot is here, he splits and his feet goes out. There is no rule on how far you should split your feet. It's dependent on your height. It's dependent on the length of your legs. It's dependent on the type of shot you're receiving, or that in reality it's more like what type of shot you gave your opponent. And there's a few other things like which direction, how fast, that kind of thing, but we're not going to go into that. We're just going to go with the basics. This is how you do a split step, its most basic form. And notice when he did a split step, it will, and it's very obvious for the beginner level, it's the direction you're okay to split step towards. So for example, during his split step, his right foot, since he wants to go to the right side, it's already changed his foot direction to go to the right. That is perfectly acceptable. Okay, that is when you already know which side it's gonna go. If you don't know which side it's gonna go, you're gonna want to keep your feet unchanged, so both feet facing forward or pointed forward. And then once you do your split step, then you go for your footwork steps. Okay, and I think that covers split step. Now let's go back to footwork, starting from the beginning right here. He's gonna do an oriented, or I call it adjusted split step, like that. As a beginner, I wouldn't do this. Of course, if you want to, you can. But what's gonna happen, or what's likely to happen, is you're going to start confusing yourself, because when you start to play a game, you don't know which direction you're gonna go when you do your split step. No one does. Actually, not no one. Professionals kind of do, but that's anticipation. And later I'm gonna show you an example of where professionals anticipate incorrectly and they're able to correct their misanticipation and get the shot. So as a beginner, you wouldn't want to misanticipate something and have to correct your footwork. Right now we're just gonna go vanilla, something basic. So don't do an adjusted split step, keep it simple, and then go with proper footwork to whichever corner that you're gonna be practicing. So right now, forehand, front court, you're going to split step. So imagine if you did a side-by-side split step. Your first step after that would actually be a right foot forward, not a step, but more like a readjustment. So what's going to happen is you're going to readjustment to where exactly his right foot is going to be positioned. After that, the left foot will come behind or next to. Behind will turn into a crossback. We'll discuss that later. The first one I want to talk about is chassé. So to chassé forward, you're going to move your left foot next to your right foot. And then once your left foot reaches your right foot, you're going to touch down and at the same time lift your right foot again to lunge forward, heel down first, then toe. And then this is where you would do a what we call phantom swing. So just a practice swing. And then once you're done with that, you push off of your right leg. So you need a lot of thigh, like quad power in your thighs to explode back to center. So here he needs to explode back. And now here's the unique thing about the front court forehand corner. When you move back, you're going to want to move in an efficient way where you also want to keep your body square to the front. So you don't want your hips to be turning all over the place. So the way to do that is by pushing back a lot with your right leg. And then at the same time, you're going to use a little bit of your left leg to give a little bit of push, and it's going to look like a skip. And then at the last moment, you're going to split your, basically do a split step. Now, in a game scenario, around this time is when you're expecting your opponent to give their reply, meaning they're going to hit their shot. So that's why you kind of want to time your recovery. So what he just did was recover from his hitting position to his next ready position. After the recovery should be your split step for your next direction or your next shot. Okay. And then for him, he goes split step, adjusted split step directly into his next footwork practice direction, I guess. And in a beginner sense, you wouldn't want to do this. You would just want to come back and do a split step evenly, so with your foot next to each other rather than staggered. Okay, let's go back and cover the footwork right here. Okay. Split step, left lunge, push off, skip, and split step. Okay. Let's do it a little bit faster. Here, boom and boom, right? Full speed, boom. Okay. So that's forehand front corner. Next we're gonna do rear court forehand. Okay. So this video will only show 4 corners. It's gonna be front, back, back, front. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A 6 corner would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 8 corner would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just to throw out all the corners right here. Okay. This next portion is rear court forehand. You just saw his split step, so we're not going to go into the split step. Let's pretend this is the split step. So you do, supposed to be for beginner is a even split step, and then your first step would be a right foot back. So he's basically combined those two together, and he's went for a right foot back. And then next is chassé. Again, we're keeping it simple, keeping it basic. Chassé or shuffle. Left foot next to his right foot, and at the same time, once his left foot starts to touch the ground, he lifts his right foot up and then goes for a last step. Now, 2 types of things you can do here. You can either do a jump scissor kick, or you can do a lunge and low forehand and push back to the center. Let's watch what he's going to do. He's going to do a scissor kick. So when he goes for jump, his hip switches and his feet switch position. So going before the jump, last right step. So he's chasséing left, and then last right step, and then he's jumping up, pushing off of his right leg, jump, left foot swings around, lands first, Left foot lands first, right foot lands second, immediately after. And then from here, for practice and for speed purposes, you can run back to the center. And then immediately once you get your center back, you do a split step. Now he's split stepping, doing an adjusted split step into his next direction immediately. Again, for our purposes, try to do a even split step. Okay. Let's go back and let's take it a look from. Let's go a little bit slower. Here, boom, boom, run, split step. Okay. So split step. This is full speed now. Split step, boom, 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 jump and back, split step. Okay, now this next part is going to be rear court backhand side. There are multiple ways of doing this. I don't exactly remember which way he goes for. Actually, let's watch through it in slow motion to see which direction he goes. Okay, so he's going for forehand overhead. Forehand overhead. Good. I like this one. Okay, let's go through this frame by frame. So imagine you did a even split step. Your first step would be a adjustment of your left foot, so then it would allow your right foot to pivot around. So the first thing you will want to do is split step, and you can go with a small left foot to the back corner. When I say small, I really mean a few inches or a few centimeters. So it's not nowhere near more than 10 centimeters or 15 centimeters. It's a very, very short adjustment. So you're adjusting your left foot and immediately pushing off your right leg and twisting around, or not twisting, but turning your entire body to get in this position. So now his right hip is in the back, his right shoulder is in the back, okay, right leg is in the back. From here, depending on your height, you could be tall enough to immediately go for a jump, which he does here. Scissor kick, lands left foot back, pushes off his left, runs, orients himself, and split step. Okay. So again, from here, boom. Right? Split step. Imagine he just did an adjustment step on his left foot. Pivot, throwing his right side all the way to the back. You can do this. Okay, so what he does right here is as he pivots, he pushes off with his left, lands with his left to give another slight push, and then plants his right foot to jump right here. So that's a little bit of tidbit. And that tidbit really is just sometimes you can't reach all the way without having a little bit of extra push from your left leg. Another example I want to use to drive that point home is from Higashino. I think it's a pretty good view that I'm going to bring up. Okay. Pay attention to Higashino right here. Okay, so she does her split step right there. And let's look at it frame by frame. She adjusts her left foot, and then her right foot's already in the air. So she's already pushed off of her right foot. Okay, so she does multiple split steps because she's not sure what's going to happen. Okay, let's actually look at this full speed. She does it twice. Let's see if you caught that. Okay. First one is ready. So opponent has not hit yet. She's adjusting because the shot is going lower and lower and lower. So it's no longer an offensive. It has to be a defensive shot from their opponents. So Higashino is moving back slightly. She sees a lift. So that was her final split step. Her left foot is down. She's going to push off of her right foot. And then watch. As her right foot is still in the air, her left foot goes off the floor and lands. So she does a skip, right? She skips off of her left foot to try and get that distance. And there she goes. Right. I know it may be kind of confusing at first, but as you get into it, you realize you do want that second step on your left foot. So split, left, maybe one more left, and swing. Okay, now right onto the next part. The next part being front court, backhand side. Okay, so right here he's going to be doing his split step, and he does an adjustment, left foot immediately, and right foot lunge, backhand, push off of his right foot, skip, and split step for the next reset. Okay, so that basically covers your four corners, basic four corners, your front right, back left, forward left. The next portion I'm going to show you is your lateral sides. So mid court, so even to your body on both the right side and the left side, which is going to be this one. Off the same channel, here's the title. Okay, we already saw his split step, so let's go forward from here. The first thing he's going to do is a chasse. Okay. He's going to chasse and boom. Now the problem here is for basics, this is not that great, simply because he already knows he has to go to the left side. So that foresight is considered cheating, right? Because in no real game, you're not going to know that, oh, once I hit on the right side, I'm going to have to go to the left side. No. Usually in a game, it's once I hit from the right side, depending on where I hit, I maybe need to get ready for the left side, but I don't know 100% if it's going to go to the left side. So you can't immediately run to the left side, which is kind of what he does here. He immediately goes there. He doesn't really do a stationary split step in preparation for whatever shot his opponent is going to get. Okay. So in a basic standpoint, you're going to want to do split step, chassé, so launch yourself, left, right, lunge forward or lunge to the side, push off, and split step about right here. So you can kind of see he immediately transitions to go to the left side. Technically cheating. You don't want to do this as a beginner. You don't want to ingrain it, like have the first impression in your mind. The first time you play a game, someone hits to your right side, you go do this and immediately run to the left, and then your opponent just hits to right again. And then you're like, oh, shoot. Because you practiced the wrong thing. So practice the correct thing and go back to center and stop. Don't run through center. This is a huge problem I have with a lot of my players. They practice running through the center. And in a game, you don't do this. In a game, you don't just run through center. Unless, of course, you're trying to recover and your opponent has already hit. Then it makes total sense. But in most cases, your opponent has not hit yet. So it wouldn't make sense to immediately run through the center to another corner. Like running footwork, again, is not footwork. It's just running. And that's why I don't want to cover running. We're going to look at another video example that is a bad example to follow. Okay. Now, for the backhand side, he won't quite show from a stationary perspective. It's basically your split step, and then you can do one of two things. You can either do a adjustment step to the left with your left foot, and then pivot and reach out and lunge. So the correct order is, for this one, would be slight left foot out, pivot off of your left foot, launching your right foot forward in a lunge position, and then once you land your right foot down for your lunge, you reach out, do your hit, and then push off your right foot, pivoting back on your left, and doing a slight hop to do your split step. And then now you're ready for your next direction. And kind of notice the theme here is that after every single repetition of a cornered footwork, you're going to do a split step. That's kind of what you want to ingrain in yourself. Now, before I move on too much, I do want to point out an example from Lee Chong-wei. His actually, this might not be a great example. Lee Chong-wei's recovery from the rear court is a lot of walking. And the reason why is he doesn't want to go too fast to the center. Sometimes if you go too fast, what do you have? Going too fast means your momentum is too high. Also means you need to put energy into stopping yourself when you get back to the center. So why spend more energy stopping yourself when you're too fast? So another thing is you're using a lot of energy to be fast back to the center. Why not cut down on the energy needed to stop and start, or I guess in this case, to start your recovery and stop your recovery? Might as well just chill and take your time to go back to center. And typically players will have this idea of how fast they need to go based on what hits they gave. And let's try to look for one. Okay. The reason why he didn't chill on that one is because he went for a low shot. So a more aggressive shot would require a faster recovery because the time to travel from his shot to where his opponent is going to hit is shorter than something like a clear, or some of you may call this a lob. So a clear is a high shot to your opponent's rear court. Okay, so that one's a kind of a good example right here. He goes for a clear, boom, and then notice when he comes back, he's not running back. He's kind of taking his time, and then you notice it's not high energy, so he doesn't need to use high energy to stop his body from finishing the recovery. So once he's done recovering, notice opponent hits, he finishes split steps, then goes for the next hit. It's very calm, calculated, not rushed. So this is also why we practice doing this split step at the end of the recovery. So whenever we play, it is a thing, right? At the end of the recovery, split step. So you can transition right into your next movement. And it's not like you do 2 split steps. It's not like you start with a split step, you start your movement with a split step and end with a split step, and then start your next one with another split step. That's not how it works. It's like using the word and. So this, and this, and this, right? So it's in between each movement, but also at the beginning. So when you start your game, you're going to start with a split step. That may be untrue, actually. When you start your game, you may not start with a split step. Now, here's the funny thing. If we were to take it that way, you're serving, your service would be considered your footwork, and then you split step for your opponent's reply. If you're on the receiving end of the service, you're not going to be split stepping. You're immediately going to move whichever direction you have to move. And hence, there are service rules on you can't go this far in the front court. For doubles, you can't hit the rear court. You can only hit the center box and the alley. No front court whatsoever. And those are kind of because there is no chance for doing a split step in a service scenario. Ooh, they cut away. That was really perfect. He chilled on the way back during this hit, right? So he cleared and then he stopped. He just basically took a break. He just walk, and then he's still walking and then right now he would be starting his split step, finishing his split step, and then moving for that direction. Although right here he's tiny bit late. But yeah, that's the idea, right? Okay, so I've covered a lot of things, right? So I've covered your 6 corners, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? I don't know if there's any videos that cover center, like going straight forward and straight back. Straight forward is basically your front court forehand. Straight back is basically your it's kind of like an in between. It's kind of a hybrid between the forehand rear and backhand rear. So you do pivot quite a bit, but not as much as going to the backhand side. But what I didn't cover yet, and I'm gonna do now, is the rear court backhand. So we did rear court overhead forehead, which is overhead forehand. which was on the backhand side. But instead of using backhand, we showed the forehand. Now to do the backhand, I'm gonna borrow Badminton Insights. Backhand video. Before this, I had kind of a confusing, I guess, something that confused me very briefly. So some people, for the overhead on the backhand side, rear court, some people chasse. I'm gonna actually show you. So some people, okay, let's take a look at this. Some people chasse for a overhead like this. They chasse to the left and then they pivot around to go for an overhead. I find that very odd. Some people do it. It works for them, but I don't think it's efficient. Then again, it's like if you practice it enough, I guess you can use it. I don't personally use it. I know a lot of players that don't personally use it. I don't know any pros that use it. Most pros use what I've showed you in that first video, as well as you saw it in Higashino, and you also saw it in Lee Chongwei. Kind of. No. Was it Lee Chongwei? No, it's definitely Higashino. And we have maybe seen it in Xiuqi. Okay. Now, this one is specifically for using your backhand on the rear court backhand side. Okay. We're going to go back a little bit. So split step, and he's showing the advanced version where you split step already oriented with your left foot back. Let's say if you don't do that, then split step evenly and then adjust your left foot back. And once you're done with that, you go for a chasse. And then once you get your left foot in the correct position or near the correct position, you pivot. Just as he did, you pivot and then go for your swing. So Victor Axelson's version right here is a little bit slower. Or yeah, it's a little bit slowed down simply because his legs are freaking long. So chasse, pivot off his left, right step, swing, and then turn. So swing, he brings his left foot close, and then he pushes off his right to do a switch so he can return to center. Okay. That kind of shot that he did was a cross court clear. He has so much time, so he can actually chill and walk back to center, bringing up that walking back to center thing again. Well, I think that covers everything. Now we'll talk about crossback. Crossback footwork is now the advanced. So next step above. This is something that you build off of with chasse. So by learning chasse, you can easily transition this into crossback footwork. The only thing you need to add for crossback is to basically push your chasse to the next level. It's just a more extreme version of chasse. Okay. There was a example that Lee Chongwei had, but I'm not gonna go find that. Let's go back to Badminton family. Let's take a look at this one again. This one, he's going to show cross back very clearly. Okay, we're gonna go. I'm gonna run this until right here. Okay, here's cross back. It's in the name, and you're gonna see why. He goes right foot, and then watch this. Supposedly, in a basic level, you would chasse to get to the other side. Well, watch this. He goes with what? Watch his... I'm going to put my cursor on his right foot. Watch his left foot. Oh, where does his left foot land? His left foot landed much farther and away from his right foot, or where his right foot was, right? And why is it called crossback? Well, his left foot crossed behind his right foot, behind it, and went further. Right? Look at how far that was. Since his left foot is now here and not here, where a chasse would be around, his right foot, he can lunge his last step here instead of here. Had he done a chasse, he would have had to do an extra step to reach this line right here. That is crossback. Crossback is used in forehand, all forehand side footwork. So forehand side front, forehand side lateral, and forehand side rear court. All these use crossback footwork. Let's take a look at Victor. No, it's just okay. Victor Axelsen versus Cho Tenchen. There's quite some examples here. Okay, let's slow it down to half speed. Okay, right there, that was a little bit of crossback. So notice Victor Axelsen's split step, cross back, kind of left foot back there. He pushes off his left foot to go forward, hit, does a slight recovery because that was an offensive shot. This is more advanced footwork. And then since his right foot is now in the wrong position, I think he misanticipated right here too. Maybe. Hard to see. Cho Ten-chen's body's blocking me. Okay, so notice this thing right here. First few frames, Victor Axelsen does an anticipated split step, thinking that his opponent was going to net or drop to his forehand front court. He was wrong, so he had to do a correction. So what's his correction? A second split step, where he has to adjust his left foot slightly forward so he can push it off of his left foot. Watch this. Cross back. So, I don't know if you can see it. He crosses his left foot behind his right foot to get that extra distance. And boom. Right? Goes for that hit. Now here he has to do a even split step, right? Because he has no idea where it's gonna go. Okay. Even split step. Goes for that shot. He does a slight even split step, but more anticipated towards the his backhand side because he saw the direction of his swing. He goes for that. Even split step, cross back again, and that was out. So you can start to see the utility of the crossback. So commonly, so widely used by professionals. And the reason why, it's malleable, it's easy to use, it's efficient, covers a lot of distance, etc., etc. Okay. I am going to show I guess a bad example. Let's go back to the basic shirt, badminton footwork. This second one, this has 1.2 million views. It's really bad. It's really bad. And the reason why is this because it covers running footwork, and as I said previously, running footwork is not footwork. Running footwork is running. It's heresy to say footwork, or you put the word footwork after running. It's just running. Okay? Okay, we're gonna go over what he shows right here. So he goes left foot first, right? Okay, off the top, he's already off balance. Okay, what if your opponent redirects the shot and you already anticipated with step, and your opponent hits it to, let's say, his left side? Now he can't adjust to his left side. His left foot is in the way of his right foot. Correct? So when you do this, you're locking yourself in one direction. This is why I do not like to have people practice running footwork, because it's just running. Everyone knows how to run. If you know how to walk, you know how to walk faster, which is basically running, right? So do not practice running footwork. Now, if you want to practice a situation where you would apply running footwork, you can definitely do that. And in those cases, it's, let's say you're moving from the rear court, you smash straight and you're running to the net. Perfectly acceptable. Happens all the time. When you're smashing hard for, let's say, straight, you give a really hard straight smash, you're expecting your opponent to not lift it back. And if they're late, even better, because if they're late, you know that they're going to be trying to block it, and a block cannot go far. A block will be weak and it will end up either at the front court or mid court. It basically turns into a push. And what you want to do as the offensive player is you want to take control and take initiative and keep that advantage. So what do? After their smash, you're going to run, not super fast, but you're going to run using running steps to go forward, and in the anticipation of going for a kill. So in those other clips of Lee Chong-wei, Victor Axelsen, you saw that happen. It is a thing. You can practice that. But don't practice running footwork from a stationary position. No one does running footwork from a stationary position. Although some people, if they're lazy, they'll resort to it. But it should not be the first thing that comes to mind. It should be the last thing that comes to mind. So what he's doing is he's going left and then right. Super simple. You don't need to learn this to know it. Okay. So what he's doing is he's literally running to the front and then chasséing back. Chasséing back is a waste of energy. So going back to the first example where I showed the correct chassé forward and then skip back. chasse forward, push off your right leg, skip on your left leg, and split step back to center. Okay. Forward backhand is a little bit more appropriate, I believe, if I don't remember correctly. It's been a long time since I watched this video. But yes, it's a little bit more correct, where he has left foot forward slightly, it's not a full step, and then pivot and go right foot. Now what he's showing here is a little bit more advanced. In high level play, when you're trying to anticipate your opponent's shot, you would do a chasse back if you did a net shot. So if you do your proper steps forward and do a net, so meaning a very soft shot that goes right over the net to your opponent's front court, you would want to chasse back one step instead of going the full direction, because if your opponent does what we call a redrop or a renet, then you would be in place to take advantage of that timing and positioning. What we do in a lift situation or lob situation, where you're, instead of netting, you're lifting the shot to your opponent's rear court, you would want to recover all the way. There is no point in staying one step away from where you just were. It becomes a little bit intuitive at that point. Okay, what he shows right here is, again, if you compare it between the pros and this, wrong already. Why? His left foot went in front. In the first video that I showed demonstrating cross back footwork, there's a reason why it's cross back and not cross front. And I'll actually bring up a little bit of course material straight from BWF. From BWF level 1 coaching material, they list a few footwork techniques, and one of them listed is literally cross dash back footwork. I'd have to find it and show you later, but it's literally under that list, and in nowhere in that list is front cross or cross front footwork. It's not there. So this is wrong right off the bat. It's move your left foot behind to move your right foot further. All right, let's see his backhand side. Okay, backhand side is a little better because there's really only a few ways to do backhand side. Any other way would be quite inefficient. All right, let's see this. Okay, so he chasses all the way. And you can kind of see how much bounce he has in his feet. It's okay. It's not bad. The horrendous thing was the front court and the lateral. Wait, is this forehand backcourt and he's showing a backhand? What? It says forehand backcourt. It means backhand backcourt. Or overhead forehand rear court. All right, forget it about the name. Okay, he goes left foot, and then what does he do? Right foot. Okay. Okay, it's not bad. Could be better. Uh-huh. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, the backhand side stuff is okay. Not that great. His forehand side stuff is horrendous, except for the rear court forehand. That one's okay. That one's basic, because he used chassé. Now, professionals would use one-step chassé jump hit. So, he did a little bit too many chassés. Okay. Next up. Oh, I really don't want to kind of break this one down. It's a little depressing to me. Okay, we're gonna go over anyway. All right. The first one you're going to see is good-ish. Split it into two. His forward direction, perfect. His recovery, eh. Let's watch. What did he do correct? Cross back. Boom. And his recovery was eh. Because his hips didn't allow for any efficient movement. His hips were like glued to the front, which is kind of, you don't need that in a recovery. Of course, it's kind of okay to have, but it's not necessarily what you want. You want your hips to be allow for efficient movement during a recovery. And since you're not going for a shot, you don't need to have your hips glued to the front. But it's not a huge deal. It's just, it kind of looked a little odd. All right. So again, correct. Boom, boom. Now, watch the next few and you will see why is incorrect. I'll slow it down just a little bit. Did you see it? He did it again. Did you see it? Oh no, what's he gonna show? What's he gonna show? Oh no. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it? Do you see it? Okay. So, the first one he did, he may have not thought about it. So he did it correctly. And then the second one, he thought about it and then did it incorrectly. So what was the mistake? What was the mistake? Correct. Incorrect. So his mistake was doing a front cross or a cross front versus a cross back. So this is kind of like the running footwork, except without facing the corner that you're going to. This is not malleable. This is not fluid. This is not flexible. Because in this case, if someone hit a shot to his left side, how would he adjust? How would he readjust from his first step? The answer is he can't. If he were to, he would be really late. If I take this example, and I ask you from here, if your opponent hits to his left side, how is your adjustment? Can you adjust? The answer is yes. All he needs to do is redirect his hip, shoulder, knee, and foot to his left side, pushing off of his left foot. His right foot is already in front of his left foot, which would allow for easy malleability, easy fluidity to adjust if he needs it. Right. This is why they do cross back, cross back, cross back, cross back. There's no such thing as cross front. Do not do cross front. Okay. Tobias, I'm not gonna watch his video, but I've watched a lot of his content. Really good stuff. the next one to stay away from. Now I'm just gonna point to one thing. The rest of his video I don't really know about, and we can watch a little bit of it. The part to stay away from is really this part where he goes left and right and then hit. So again, from that previous video, he goes left. Now what if your opponent juked you out and instead hit to your left side? Well, you've locked your feet. You locked your own feet against yourself, right? So you can't get it. Chassé is correct. I notice there's a lot of pivoting too. So he goes with his, he pivots to go left foot forward, and he pivots again to go right foot last step, right? So far, his rear court backhand side is good. Yeah, rear court backhand side is good. Didn't see his lateral. Although I would assume his lateral looks like his front court. Yeah. So again, a lot of incorrect things going on YouTube. Some are good, some are bad. Some have good parts, some have bad parts, and yeah. Do I want to look at this? Okay. The thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not here to disparage these creators or these coaches. It's really the efficiency part of what they're teaching can be incorrect sometimes. So hopefully by watching this or watching my video, I kind of point out which are good, which are not great. So as a recap of all the things I went over, you have your split step, which is the most important part. We went over the basic one. The advanced version I kind of touched on here and there, saying you shouldn't do this as a beginner, and I am still sticking by. You do see the advanced version everywhere, so I think it's pretty intuitive. Once you start to play, you're gonna understand the advanced style of split step, so I don't think I need to create a coaching video on it. The next basic thing is the chassé. So a lot of your footwork will be chassé based. A lot of pivoting on your backhand side. So anytime you go to your backhand footwork, you're going to pivot off of your non-racket foot. We went over 6 corners. So your front right, front left, your mid right, mid left, your rear court, right and left. We did not go over directly in front and directly in the back, which are kind of a mistake on a lot of these coaches' end for them not covering this. But then I guess I haven't searched it up, so there's that. And then there's the running. I'm not gonna use the word footwork. I'm just say running. Running is intuitive. Running is easy. So you can learn that. Then that's a little bit more advanced again. So I wouldn't necessarily try to push that right off the bat. Yeah, and then crossback, right? So the advanced level of the chassé, where we push chassé further and basically milk chassé as much as possible. And when you do that, you turn it into crossback. And again, to wrap it all up, or wrap that part up, is it's not cross front, it's cross back. So do not put your left foot or your non-racket foot in front of your racket foot. Do not block your racket foot. Don't block it, okay? I think that pretty much covers footwork. Actually, I must split this up. I'll do grip tomorrow and I'll do swing on the next day. Oh, okay. Actually, I want to watch this a little bit just to get a little bit more off of it. This is just power snap. Can you even cover footwork? Watch that. There we go. 10 hours ago. Okay, well, let's watch that. 7 hours ago. I'll watch that too. 15. Why are these so recent?
Tips on how to move better on the court. So stay tuned. First tip, keep your knees bent. So you want to keep your center of gravity low. So lower your back, lower your knees. How low you should go really depends.
A lot of chassé. Good pivot. Good pivot.
Some people prefer to bend a lot lower, but some people prefer, like for me, I stay relatively high. Find your own comfort height. So the goal is to make sure that you stay low and you're very prepared.
Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay, we saw him do it pretty well. Let's see if he teaches it well.
So the third tip is to return to the middle as much as you can. So the center of the court is where your coverage of all the
cross back.
balance. So you want to always try to return to
Good
the
pivots.
middle as best as you can. So similarly, not only do you adapt your base like towards the front or towards the back, you can also adapt them towards the side. If you kind of know that the opponent's going to hit towards the
Pretty good. All right, let's see this.
Left, land. See this? China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Korea National Pro Circuit. Recently, I've retired from that, and now I'm focusing my energy on coaching, which is where you come in, badminton player. One of the 3 main streams of our program. The first footwork course that we're going to begin today is front court offense footwork. What you expect to gain from this course is if you're there, but before as a whole, then you're not going
okay, they name it offensive footwork. Just call it running.
to be efficient in your energy or your shots for footwork. So that's a really important in my teaching, where you need to
go it,
feet.
go it.
And if it's something energy going, jumping up in the air, got to dodge it by just an air. Then I'm going to be straddling the ready to go. Bird is coming to my forehand. That's the first thing that moves. Now, another
Left foot.
to the front court. We want to imagine that the puppy just saw a cat and
And here's the difference, right? If you watch Arisa Higashino play front court mix, she's going to do a lot of the running footwork. You know why? It's because she's trying to be lightning fast, right? And she's literally trying to cover from left to right. And she's one of the fastest mixed doubles front court players I've ever seen, right? The reason why is she's able to cover the entire front court from the other side of the court. So, for example, if she's standing all the way on the left side of the court, she can cover the shot that goes on the right side of the front court. And you know how you do that? You run. But guess what? That's not footwork. That's literally just you bolting for that shot, okay? That is not footwork. That's just running. Okay? And she would agree with me. It's literally just running. It's not footwork. We don't practice running. We practice footwork.
tearing off ahead of us. So the racket has to extend immediately and quite violently and quickly towards the direction of where the bird is coming. So we've got our prep jump, and then we see it's going to the forehand, so the racket extends, and at the same time, I make my first step with my non-racket leg. Okay? Prep, left. That's the first step. Prep, left. And then we bring in the final step, which is an extension and a lunge onto our racket leg. Prep, left, right.
That's offensive footwork? You went for a net. When you go for a net, you don't use offensive. Actually, you could. I'm just trying to think of examples I've seen in professional level where people go for like a run and then they end up netting. I was like, okay, if they were late, then they end up netting. But then if you're already using offensive footwork and you're already in the front court, you're probably going to be doing a net kill. Yeah. Because then I think about it, when Higashino runs, she literally jumps for the last shot. And she does net kills with it. We can watch a little bit of Higashino later. Watanabe and Higashino later.
So we've got the prep jump left and my racket simultaneous, extending the lunge onto my racket leg. Notice my non-racket arm when I'm landing. Prep, left, land. See, this arm is out, reaching for balance. Something you don't realize is actually how heavy an arm is. If I was to chop off my arm and hold it in my hand, or one hand, stretch it out, particularly for balance.
Arm is heavy.
Right-handed, right. My racket is extended. Again, my shot training position, hands jump. My racket is partner behind me and it doubles our mix. Make sure I push down. Importance of the front court. 8-0 to me, end it well into your game. So
Just talk too much. Not enough demonstration. So you need pants and a shirt. Pretty good drill. You can do it without the racket, actually. So in those cases, you would do your fast feet, go up, sweep with your right hand, go opposite, right hand. Because racket work you can do without movement as well. You can try to separate those two. Pretty good drill too. I guess the positive thing about this drill is it's gonna keep your muscles in balance. You're not gonna have off balance, because if you were to do lateral footwork, you're gonna be constantly pushing off with your right foot and never using your left leg. So this will keep some balance. The only thing this is not suitable for is building muscle memory. So if you're strictly doing it for footwork strengthening, it definitely will help. Open. Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's okay. Okay. No. I'm sorry, I'm just being blunt here. No. Absolutely no.